closed captioning, and there it is. Closed. I wish everything in my life worked like that. Um, closed captioning is available, and access to closed captioning can be gained through selecting the show captions icon. And American Sign Language interpreters are also available. And to access the ASL interpreter, select the interpretation icon and then select ASL. So now we are going to move to the next slide. And I am very excited to moderate this conversation today, this incredible APA town hall that's going to focus on EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion at the American Psychological Association, and the journey that we have taken in terms of the evolution of our racial equity work. I am joined today by our Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Arthur Evans, who is going to open up our conversation and offer a few words from his position as CEO, but also some framing for the conversation today. His conversation will be followed by our APA president for the year 2023, Dr. Thema Bryant, who will talk to us about the approach she has taken this year in terms of the evolution of her work and its close connection to equity, diversity, and inclusion. I will talk a little bit about the work of the office, and then followed by Dr. Cynthia de la Fuentes, who will talk about her presidential initiatives, which will begin in 2024. So at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Evans, who will begin framing the conversation for today. Dr. Evans?
Thank you, Dr. Akbar, and thank you, all of you who are joining us. You know, one of the hallmarks of our equity, diversity, and inclusion work is that it is very inclusive, and all of the work that you're going to see today is really a reflection of many, literally hundreds of people who have provided their input. So we are thrilled that you are here with us today. There are 3 points that I want to make about our work and our approach, besides it being very inclusive. One of them is that our approach to this has been that we really want to focus on systemic, structural, and institutional changes as a way of addressing racial equity. Many of you know that many of the issues that drive inequities in our society, that drive disparities in health outcomes, are things that really are structural in nature. And so we want to be very structural in our approach. We also want to be very outcomes oriented. We know as an association that that organizations can do a lot of activities in a particular area. But we feel that in order for us to really have the impact that we want to be vigilant and always asking the question, that's a great event, that's a great white paper, that's a great conference, that's a great activity, but has it really helped us to move the dial on the issues that we care about? And so we're being very intentional about being very outcomes focused in this work. Another really important point is that we're in this for the long term. That one of the commitments we made in the aftermath of George Floyd's death was that we didn't want to do what a lot of organizations will do, and I think frankly have done, which is to make a statement, to to do a lot of work in the immediate aftermath, but then after that for things to go back to the way they were. We've made a commitment that is a long-term commitment, starting with our president, who was president at the time of George Floyd's death, Sandy Shulman, and then you saw the work of Jennifer Kelly, our next president, who really took that work and built off of that, and that ended in our apology and racial equity plan. That work has continued. That work continued with Frank Worrell, and now it's continued with Dr. Thema Bryant. But what's really exciting is it doesn't end there. Cynthia De Los Fuentes and Deborah Kawahara, who are incoming and next presidents, have also made a commitment. It will take that kind of long-term commitment to move the dial on these issues. And so I'm delighted that we have that kind of commitment from the presidents of our association and the leadership of our association. The last point I'll make is this, that we want to integrate this work into all of the work that we're doing so that moving forward, these are not an afterthought, but it really integrated into the way we do our work. And we're working very hard at the association to do that. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the work that you've done to promote this work. And we look forward to not only engaging in this work, but really seeing the outcomes that will, we hope, change many people's lives because of the work that we've done.
Thank you so much, Arthur. I am so grateful for your continued commitment to this work and glad for us all to be here on today. Next slide. So we want to welcome each person here across identities, and we know that we each have multiple aspects of our identity, and we bring them into this space knowing that collectively it makes us stronger and enhances the work that we do. I also am aware that people are carrying so much, and so with all of your roles and responsibilities, it means a lot that you are here with us on today or that you're watching the replay. I want to acknowledge that we have members of the board of directors here, that we have council representatives here, that we have members of boards and committees, that we have a number of past presidents that are present as well. To all of our members, staff, I say that you are welcome. And I'm excited to start the webinar with a special presentation, a presidential citation, which is one of the gifts that comes with this role. And so we can make impact, but we also recognize the importance of collaboration with members of our community who are leaders in various disciplines that can play a key role and do play a key role in amplifying the work of mental health and of psychology. So on today, I am honored to present a presidential citation to none other than Michelle Williams. The American Psychological Association proudly awards this presidential citation to Michelle Williams, a Grammy-winning singer, songwriter, actress, and author, in recognition of her significant contributions as a mental health advocate. Rising to fame in the 2000s as a member of Destiny's Child, one of the highest-selling female groups in music history, Michelle Williams has utilized her platform to champion mental health awareness. Her open acknowledgement of her struggles with depression since the age of 13 and her decision to seek professional help in 2018 have been pivotal in destigmatizing mental health issues. In her 2021 memoir called Checking In, Michelle candidly shares her experiences with depression, including thoughts of ending her life. The book highlights the vital roles of family, friends, and faith in her recovery journey and emphasizes the crucial importance of the phrase, "I need help." As a mental health advocate, Michelle has found her calling in encouraging self-awareness and resilience. Her podcast, called Checking In with Michelle Williams, features conversations with celebrities about depression, anxiety, and mental health in general, offering coping strategies and skills to manage mental health challenges. I am honored to bestow this presidential citation upon Michelle Williams. This accolade recognizes Michelle's courageous sharing of her personal journey, her efforts to raise awareness about mental health, and her inspiring work to motivate others facing mental health challenges to seek professional support. Michelle, I so appreciate you, your courage, your transparency, and I have seen the impact of your work, your book, and the podcast have already touched so many lives. We are excited to honor you on today.
I am holding back tears. Dr. Thema, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. To everyone, I'm grateful to see y'all's faces. Um, Dr. Tama, may I share a little bit of our relationship?
Yes.
Okay, now I just want to do proper protocol, but and while I was living in the state of California, Dr. Tama Bryant was my therapist, and it was Dr. Tama who I called when I knew I needed help. And it was Dr. Tama that was helping to find the treatment center that I should check into to treat my depression. Not only did she find a place for me, but she came and sat with me. And at first, when she came and sat with me in that treatment facility, I thought I might have let her down. I thought that, how could I be in a treatment facility when I've sat on her sofa probably that week or the week prior? But she just sat with me and just was kind of walking me through what I had been going through. Even to the end of that year, I was not necessarily out of the woods, but Dr. Tama just let me know that I should not be ashamed and turn it into power. Let my pain be purpose. Because it ain't nothing for Dr. Tama to do a therapy session and be like, you okay with prayer? It's because we know that she's also an ordained minister. And so I appreciated that. And I know with protocol, I know certain, you ask permission, but I'm so glad that because of Dr. Tama, I got the help that I needed, nor did I feel ashamed afterwards of just her coming to sit with me. And I'm thankful. I'm really, really thankful that now, 5 years later, I'm being acknowledged or recognized, which is something I didn't seek after or anything, but I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. That's and since 2013, I've been an advocate for people to get help. And so I just had to do what I told people to do in the past, is to get help. And there was one point where I felt like shame has to go out the window when you're desperate for change, when you're desperate for healing. And I wanted to get to the root of what was going on with me. I hated being in that pit. And I'm so thankful that Dr. Tama Bryant is a big part of that process. So Dr. Tama, thank you. And to every colleague of hers, everybody here with the APA, thank you so, so much. What I'm doing now, I am paying it forward. I tell people that success did not heal trauma, but what I do say, it's given me the resources to get the help that I needed and to be able to pay it forward. All right. As we say in church, I'm not going to be before you long.
Thank you so much, Michelle. We appreciate your courage and the ways in which you have used your story to open the doors for others. And one of our divisions in APA focuses on the psychology of religion and spirituality. And I know right now you are joining us from the Dominican Republic, I believe in a church. So I'm so glad.
I was in the office and then I got whisked away so we could get back to the hotel. We were supposed to be back about 2 hours ago, but now I'm learning, don't trust the itinerary because things can go over time. And then when you're meeting with children, there is no clock. Don't rush the kids. So we're in Santo Domingo with the organization called Compassion, and we get to see the work that Compassion is doing. Y'all, those children knew one of my songs, and they were like, they didn't know. And then they were like, wait a minute, are you the person that sings this song? But they knew the song here in the Dominican Republic, not even
beautiful.
Y'all, it's to be here 5 years later, serving even from a place of healing, but while still doing the work. My sessions still are on Thursdays. So I don't stop.
Let me just clarify for them that the sessions are no longer with me.
Yes, I live in the state of Georgia.
Yes.
I live in the state of Georgia. So I know all of that. But Dr. Tama is still a huge, huge, huge part a huge part of my mental health journey. She's like, don't get
Oh.
me in trouble. It ain't me.
No, I appreciate you, Michelle. It means a lot, the work you do, and that you would join us even while you are out of the country, that you would come on today. It means so much, and please keep doing what you're doing as you are taking care of yourself, also raising awareness
Amen.
and giving people permission for their healing and growth. So we will not
That's
hold you
right.
longer, but thank you, and you take good care.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you to everyone. Enjoy the rest of y'all's day.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, I am so grateful to Michelle and to the many others that we serve who not only make a difference in their own lives, but their families and their communities. I want to start with a positionality and for us to be mindful of our land acknowledgement. I am joining us from the land that has been cultivated by the Tongva people that you know of as Los Angeles. And I know that we are here from all different areas and regions, so we want to continue to be mindful not only of the land, but the contributions of our indigenous siblings, and also a labor acknowledgement recognizing the exploited labor in the past, largely people of African descent, in the present, diverse peoples, including especially migrants, immigrants. And so we want to be mindful of those realities. So I am excited for us to share today and for your interest in knowing what we're doing as it relates to the Racial Equity Action Plan. Next slide. I am excited to acknowledge that one of my co-authors is on, Dr. Edith Arrington, and we together wrote the handbook, the Anti-Racism Handbook. So we want to think about not only as individuals, but as a profession and beyond our profession, what are some barriers that keep people from engaging in the work of racism? And some people seek to avoid it because they want to avoid conflict. And there is that assumption that if all appears peaceful, then everybody is okay. But we know that silence and avoidance are not the solution. Some people are aware of the realities of racism and other forms of oppression, but get stuck in guilt. So they may feel very bad that these terrible things have happened in the past or are happening in the present, but feel powerless to change it. There are others who are aware of what we would identify as racism, but they look at it and blame victims. So they may say they shouldn't have been in that area, they should not have dressed that way, they should not have spoken that way, or they must have done something wrong that caused the discrimination. Some people, understandably, are afraid to speak up about racism. There are consequences when you name it and when you speak about it. Some people will label you, some people will avoid you, some people will organize against you to block you as a result of your work. And then there are those who are simply uninformed, that we see the attacks in our educational system, not wanting children to be informed about both our history and our present day challenges as it relates to racism. And then we have what some call internalized racism, internalized oppression, or the internalized colonizer. What are the ways we have come to believe those negative ideas about ourselves and about our own groups? And what are the ways that we may then enact those behaviors with each other? But there are ways that we can cultivate an anti-racism mindset. And this is so important when we think about the contribution of psychologists, because a lot of past work on racism has been based in history and in law. But we understand the role of psychology is so critical. And I'm so glad our Council of Representatives has passed multiple resolutions on racism, as well as other forms of oppression, including anti-Semitism. So in cultivating an anti-racism mindset, we know that it's important to name it, to lean into it, for us to commit to collective action. We cannot address it alone effectively. Each of us has a role to play, and it is a collaborative work. And then having to disrupt people's assumptions that there's a belief in a just world out of social psychology. The idea that you would reap benefits if you are working hard. So if you're struggling, it must mean that your community has poor values. And then we know the importance of engaging in lifelong learning and the importance of interconnection. So for us to be mindful of not only racism, but multiple forms of oppression, ableism, heterosexism, sexism, ageism, religious intolerance. And so we want to be mindful. Next slide. I'm glad for us to also think about the work of Dr. Tran, who recognized that many times we have been receiving this concept of imposter syndrome. But as she describes it, instead of thinking of ourselves as outsiders or being treated as outsiders, for us to recognize when you are a change agent that you are here to bring about transformation. And people are not always welcoming to transformation, but it is a part of our work as we seek to make the association better and to enhance people's lives. Next slide, please. I'm excited to share with you the accomplishments of this year. With your hard work, I am so excited about what we have been able to do. Next slide. I want to thank the Board of Directors for approving all of these initiatives. At first, people were startled that we wanted to do so much, but with your help and with the help of our staff and our community, we have been able to do it. So one of the presidential initiatives was decolonial and liberation psychologies, and we submitted a proposal for a special issue in the American Psychologist. That proposal was accepted. A call for submissions was sent out, and we received over 100 submissions from people all over the globe. We also had an initiative on enhancing belonging and engagement. We partnered with our membership office to design a study for our members, and we presented that data at this year's convention on the factors that are connected with people's sense of belonging and the benefits of belonging. We also created a film this year, Representation Matters, and I believe I saw our chair, at least our co-chair for that initiative on here, Dr. Mary Fernandez. And with that project, we interviewed a little less than 30 psychologists from diverse identities and looked at the ways in which they came into leadership roles and the ways in which they navigated challenges. And that Representation Matters film, we're currently adding the captions, and then it will be available for the public to view. We had a preview of part of it at the convention, and I want to highlight that we looked at not only racial and ethnically marginalized psychologists, but around disability, gender, ethnicity, religion, sexuality as well. And then around culture and trauma, we are creating culturally informed trauma recovery kits. And we had a summit, a public-facing summit that was held at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And Dr. Siobhan Moore-Laban, who is on, was the chair of that incredible summit. We also have been attending to the media. And so we were able to quickly put together a task force to look at social media and youth, an advisory team. They created a report that we disseminated to the public, and there has been far-reaching interest from social media, from parents, from legislators as well. And then finally, in terms of the work of this year, we were approached by Warner Brothers, who is making the film The Color Purple, which will come out next month, about the possibility of us creating a healing guide. And so we put together a group of psychologists with expertise in culture and in trauma and created that guide, and that will be available to the public in December. So I am so grateful and excited for the ways in which we have been able to do this work. And I'm seeing several of our task force members who are on today including, well, don't want to start naming names because I can't see them all, but I do see you and appreciate your hard work and your presence. Next slide. So when we issued the apology, and so glad that Dr. Jennifer Kelly is on, that many people appreciated the apology, and many of those who were critical of the apology said, we want to see action beyond the words. And we know for action to take place, there has to be resources. And so I am so glad that our Council of Representatives approved the funding, $1.1 million to seed the Racial Equity Fund. And so we have been working with the American Psychological Foundation and with TIDES to mobilize those resources and to put them in a place where they can really benefit us as we work toward equity. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Maisa Akbar.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Oh, I really appreciate the conversation so far, and you know, it is incredible to be engaging in this work and to have had the presidential citation go to Michelle Williams, who I think talked about her lived experience, you know, and her interactions with mental health, and utilizing you as a resource in order not only to champion for herself, but for to others. And this is the reason why the work of equity, diversity, and inclusion is so important. And of course, you know, I'm beyond elated that she was in the Dominican Republic, because that's my homeland. So I wanted to be able to take a few minutes to share with you the evolution of EDI at the American Psychological Association. And we thought that the best way for you to be able to witness that is through looking at a video that demonstrates our progression over the last 2 years since the issuing of the apology. So I'm gonna turn it over so that we can view that video, and you can see that our commitment to institutional, structural, and systemic change has been very real, and we have been very much answering the call to continue our work in this area. So let's turn that video on.
A couple of years ago, our Council of Representatives directed that we should have a new strategic vision for our organization. And in the good part of a year, we spent surveying, interviewing, doing focus groups, and really co-creating a new vision for our association.
We are making an ongoing sustainable organizational commitment to find impactful ways to collaboratively eradicate racism, institutionally and systemically.
The American Psychological Association has issued an apology to people of color for its contributions to the establishment of systemic racism in America. Tell us about this apology. What made this important to do now, and what do you think it means for the society at large?
I think there are a confluence of things that led to us doing this now. Last year, with all of the awareness of the disproportionate impact of COVID on African Americans, the police shootings and those kinds of things, that all came together, and we really said that we need, as a field, to acknowledge what we have done, how we've contributed to these problems, and to start to make amends and to address those issues.
Following the apology, we worked to better understand the association's footprint by conducting an internal inventory that collected information on all racial equity activities across APA directorates and offices.
What we understood from many documents that we read, such as a warrior's path and guidance from many elders and others in the community, is that an apology without action is meaningless. This past Tuesday, Council passed the Racial Equity Action Plan, which details the path for and a framework and a roadmap to how we are going to systemically address structural racism within the association and within the field of psychology.
I see that APA is doing something real. I see the commitment. I'm seeing the changes, and it's something that I feel my effort won't go to waste in doing, because it's happening and it's exciting.
At the RAND Corporation, we look to the APA often for the resources that they develop, for the ways in which they influence not only the way that we think about psychology and mental health, which is a huge issue that we have in the United States, but abroad. I think it's critical for us to think that the way the APA influences not only psychology, but also broadly health equity and writ large other interdisciplinary areas.
We really cannot talk about health equity unless we're talking about racial equity, because we know that racism and discrimination is threaded throughout the social determinants of health, and that's what really drives health disparities. And so in order for us to really make a difference and have the impact, it can't just be psychologists that's making a difference. And it just can't be psychologists who are really advocating with health disparities, but we have to have all the voices of psychology for this to really make a difference.
The people at APA, our members, have still been very engaged around these. And I think that's what's going to make a difference, so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to be able to say, not only did we do an apology, not only did we start on a process, but we're going to be able to point to specific ways that our efforts have made a difference in the health of people.
And so I say to each of us, what would be the point of leading? What would be the point of serving? What would be the point of showing up if you weren't going to say something? Let's say something. Let's shake things up. Let's shift things, because the truth is, even those who are fighting us are thirsty for the change.
Wow, so impactful. We, the beginning part of this recording, Dr. Evans said, in 2019, for us to imagine a world that we would be focused on a strategic plan that looked at inclusivity and that looked at equity, and that looked at the diversity of our discipline and our association. Towards the end, he said, we want to point to specific ways that our efforts have changed people's lives. And 2 years later, to be able to sit in front of you and demonstrate what that change looks like, history in the making, is really incredible. So what I want to be able to share next is that, yes, we have been working diligently as an association to tackle issues related to dismantling and eradicating structural and systemic racism and advancing racial equity. But we also understand, if we go to the next slide, that there are other areas that we need to be able to focus on, that people have multiple social identities and that these identities are often quite intersectional, and that we hold different areas in which we want to have impact related to various contexts. So we wanted to take a look at how do we create psychologically safe environments that are crucial spaces for that are going to be accessible, welcoming, and inclusive to diverse perspectives and experiences. So this year, APA, through the direction of the board of directors and our executive leadership, began the concept formation of a framework called the Accessibility, Inclusion, Maturity Model, also known as the AIM. And the AIM supports an integration of best practices around all aspects of disability inclusion and accessibility throughout the association. It's infusing universal design into the fabric of APA, and it's the core of the framework that we will be using, ensuring that we are consistently evaluating the progress and incorporating feedback from our partners and our members and our experts about the lived experience of people with disability. One way in which we've done this, and you may have noticed some of this if you were at convention, is to assure that we were listening to all members and taking on their meaningful feedback, and wanting to engage in action in terms of increasing the visibility about related to our accessibility challenges and the ones that we face during our meetings and convention. If you are here and you're a member that has sent me an email and various other members in the EDI office, we've taken all of that feedback into consideration in the design of the AIM model. And we're dedicated to continue to approach this in a methodical way where our members can feel that their concerns were heard. This year, with the collaboration of the communications team that oversees convention, we piloted our new guidelines and goals for disability inclusion and accessibility at the APA convention. We wanted this to serve as a dynamic model for all future conventions and large meetings hosted by the association. And we engage with the expertise of consultants and others who have the lived experience and are uniquely positioned to be able to guide us in these types of areas. Their valuable insight and feedback was instrumental in developing and redefining the guidelines and goals for disability inclusion. Our goal really is to create an environment where all can participate and feel free of obstacles and limitations. Our work around EDI has not just been related to convention and accessibility, but we also want to be able to demonstrate the cross-cutting areas where EDI has continued to effectuate change. You will see that for APA Publishing, they have released the journal article reporting standards on race, ethnicity, and culture, or the JARS REC, which sets standards for reporting guidelines for research in critical areas promoting transparency and inclusivity in our scholarly publication. Another standout accomplishment is by our science directorate. And you'll see that the Super Fellowship, which provides invaluable research experience to undergraduate students from diverse backgrounds, it's something that's up and coming. This is not only an area that will foster inclusivity, but it will also cultivate the next generation of psychologists and researchers and scholars. The Science Directorate has also been very proactive in addressing the barriers faced by faculty of color in academia related to promotion and tenure. And we have seen that there have been the utility of these guidelines to increase the inclusivity and equitable practices in the academy and in academic environments. Our advocacy office has been instrumental in driving change with policymakers, advocating for a more diverse psychology workforce. The work includes influencing policy that promotes equal opportunity and representation in our field. And the practice directorate and our colleagues there have been engaging with the SPTAs and leaders to address health inequities at the state level. Our education directorate and the Board of Educational Affairs and our graduate students engaged in the driving force of a resolution that was passed around developing guidelines on equitable and respectful treatment of students in graduate school programs. This just isn't a set of guidelines, it's an actual roadmap for the future. They are designing and promoting ethical educational practices and talking about fostering an environment that goes beyond textbook and examinations. These are just a few examples of areas that have been influenced and our active participation all throughout APA to embed EDI into the very fabric of the association. The other few things that I'll mention and then pass it over to our president-elect, Dr. Cynthia de la Fuentes, is that you may have seen in the last few weeks that we released the second iteration of the Inclusive Language Guide, which was released in October, and it is now on our website. It's a go-to resource that provides guidance for inclusive and affirming language in both written and in conversation. The second edition expands on definitions and terminologies and uses the latest psychological science and constructive input from subject matter experts. The new sections that have been added address anything from gender inclusivity all the way to pregnancy-related language, neurodiversity, religious discrimination, and even weight stigma. So many other areas have been covered. And this was an incredible collaboration with the publishing office and their styles team. And then the last area that I want to be able to cover is what we've been doing in terms of leadership development. Our Leadership Institute, which was formally created in August of 22, now has been focused on 3 areas of development in terms of how we are going to increase our leaders in the field. One area is general focus on leadership development overall. You'll see that there are multiple programs that fall under mentorship and also multiple programs that fall under the 3rd pillar of training. We continue to use a mental model that is a conceptual frame from 2 different models, the Kouzes and Posner model, and other models that are focused on change development for leadership. So we want to be able to demonstrate that there is quite a bit of action happening around EDI. And now for the continuation of that work, I'll pass it over to our president-elect.
Thank you very much, Maisa and Arthur and Thema. I hope you are all feeling as inspired and excited about what's happening in the APA as I am. I am proud to say that my aim during my presidential year is to carry forward the work of my predecessors, Drs. Kelly and Bryant, to create inclusive spaces and a culture that's rooted in equity and socially just practices and policies within the APA and beyond. We must actively dismantle oppressive structures and systems within our field and association by amplifying all the voices and leveling the playing field to foster a sense of belonging and inclusion. Of course, I was on one of Thema's task force, which was about belonging and engagement, and it's something that I'm going to continue forward as well. It's the foundation of my platform, Inclusive Psychology for All. Only when we work on rebuilding our own home can we begin to influence the systems outside of it and outside of our discipline. As we move forward, I want to assure you that advancing racial equity will remain a top priority throughout my presidential term. It's been one of my life's work, and I intend to continue it forward. Recent research demonstrates that refugees and individuals seeking asylum in the United States face substantial pre-migration and migration trauma exposure. An Immigration and Health Task Force was created recently by the Board of Directors, and it will continue its work throughout my year. And it will work to advance clinical research and advocacy priorities. It'll propose a special issue for the American Psychologist, and it'll develop accessible advocacy materials for driving policy change. Our efforts will continue to be grounded in evidence-based approaches, guided by the principles of justice, equality, and importantly, compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Now, I would like to open up the forum for questions for our president-elect. If you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. There are also some questions that have been already posted in the Q&A. So as people are thinking through their question and raising their hands, I'm just going to go ahead and ask the first question.